U.S. government. Today, the Trump administration is appealing a new order from a federal judge that found probable cause to hold the administration in criminal contempt over the March 15th deportation flights it sent to El Salvador following his order to turn those planes around. Also sent to El Salvador was Kilman Abrego Garcia, Salvadoran national living in Maryland, who the administration said was sent to a notorious prison by mistake. The Supreme Court ordered the Trump administration to facilitate his return. We should note Abrego Garcia has not been charged with any crime. Meanwhile, Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen traveled to El Salvador in an effort to talk to officials about bringing Abrego Garcia home. The senator says a top Salvadoran official rejected his request to meet with Abrego Garcia. Here's what he told my colleague Rachel Maddow about his visit.
My goal is to keep a spotlight on this issue until justice is done, until the 9-0 opinion by the Supreme Court is implemented by the Trump administration, which is ignoring entirely that order that they need to facilitate his return. I asked the folks at the embassy whether they've been ordered by the administration to do anything to facilitate his return. The answer was no.
Joining us now, NBC News senior White House correspondent Kelly O'Donnell, Paula Ramos, MSNBC contributor and Noticias Telemundo contributor, and Danny Ceballos, criminal defense attorney and MSNBC legal analyst. So, Kelly, where do things stand at this hour in the Abrego case?
Well, certainly the administration is remaining committed that he would not be returned under any decision that they make. The lawyers for the Justice Department have communicated to the court that there are no additional updates to provide from their end, and that'll continue to be a tension point over the issues of was there any kind of cooperation that meets the judge's standard for providing the court with answers, with information, and a demonstration of following the judge's order. Hence, we have this probable cause for contempt. So there's requirements that they provide updates, no substantive update. Certainly, the administration is trying to focus on telling a different story. They have been very critical of the characterization of Abrego Garcia as a Maryland man. He is a resident of Maryland, as you pointed out. They are saying he is here unlawfully, and they believe and publicly claim that he is tied to MS-13, an organization they have designated as foreign terrorists. So therefore, they have accused him of being a terrorist, even a human trafficker. They did provide more documentation. It is limited, and we certainly reported on the documentation. It talks about a couple of different things, an arrest and some documents from 2019 where he was identified by a confidential informant. We don't know who that is. There was an officer involved in relaying that information who was later disciplined and indicted for misconduct. And there were descriptions of clothing, but he was not found to have any specific evidence of being affiliated with MS-13 other than those associations. There was also a separate matter of a domestic violence type of an issue where his wife had requested a claim of protection. She is now publicly saying through her lawyer that that was a preemptive move that she did because of a past unrelated to him incident, and everything with him worked out and she did not pursue it. So they are putting out documentation to try to fill in a picture that they say supports their views. And at this point, it's become a battle over some of the public story. He does have American children and an American wife, and there are questions about his due process rights and even his whereabouts right now in the prison. But Senator Van Hollen wanted to get an assessment of his well-being and was unable to do that. Jose?
So Dan, let's talk about it. I mean, you've had a number of clients, I'm sure, that are sometimes not residents of the United States.
Oh, yes.
In a case of, for example, going to another country to try and reach a client in your specific case, the senator says he was not given access to it. What are the average normal problems in, for example, you the lawyer, not a senator, you a lawyer, going to speak to your client who may be in a jail in El Salvador or anywhere else?
Every criminal defense lawyer has to deal on some level with immigration because federal law sometimes requires or makes removable someone who's been convicted of a crime. But there are other subsections to that law that most criminal defense lawyers and most lawyers in general never look at. For example, the power of the Secretary of State to remove people based on their problems they create for foreign policy. You can technically be removed if you're on public assistance. This is something the Trump administration has excelled at, which is finding these dusty parts of the law that people don't normally use and using them now in a way that we can't really answer what the contours of that law are because it's never really been tested. So in terms of visiting your client, I've had this issue before. Even when the federal marshals are transporting your client across this country, not internationally, and they effectively vanish. It is so difficult to reach your client if the federal government is not that interested in making him or her available to his lawyers. Yes, they have a constitutional right to access to their lawyers, but what that access is not the way you and I think of access, where I can pick up my phone and text you and you respond instantaneously. That is not part of the constitutional protections that detainees or criminal defendants actually have.
And so, Paula, there's also, of course, the bigger aspect of this, and it's not about one specific case, one specific person all the time, although that is an important one to focus on. But as far as a bigger picture, the fact that he is returned to El Salvador, and El Salvador under Nayib Bukele is a far different country than it was even 20 years ago. Many would say for good, but there are also other issues there.
Right, and I think that's the point. We're dealing with two people that want to be strongmen. And so everything that the United States is doing right now is feeding into Nayib Bukele's image of a strongman. Now, there's nothing more powerful than him being able to retain Gilmar Abrego Garcia.
Who's Salvadoran.
Who's Salvadorian, and not let him go, right? So yes, let's remember who we're dealing with. He's the self-described world's coolest dictator. Nayib Bukele is someone that defied his own constitution so that he could run again. He's someone that has incarcerated over 1% of the population, and in doing that, there have been dozens and dozens of children. You talk to some human rights lawyers in the country, and they will tell you that under Nayib Bukele, at least 260 people have died.